At the end of our last tutorial, we'd got things to the stage where our scoreboard was telling us as to whether there was an overall winner or maybe one of our dead slither scenarios between combinations of snakes. The next thing we need to do from here is to indicate as to who the overall winner actually is, or which combinations of snakes have tied with each other. To begin this next task, the first thing that we need to do is come over to the beginning of the expression here. We just frame our selected nodes, and what we need another compare. So we'll just copy that one, place that down there. We need to take our frames into input 1 there, and our value we need to say greater than or equal to 125. Following on from here, we simply need to copy our bool across, leave its function as AND, plumb the output from the first compare here, which is comparing our slither number keeper. That's doing that job for us. We know that that's comparing at the moment to equal to 1. It will ultimately be equal to 10. And we need to say, once our slither number is equal to 1 or 10, and our compare equal to or greater than or equal to 125, then we'll get a true output so that we can trigger the next part of the expression. The reason I've done that is I've allowed another 5 frames on top of the 120 here that we are using as the finish point for the race. So at 120 frames we're going to trigger the banner coming out of the top of the scoreboard, which lasts for 5 frames. Directly after that animation finishes, I want to trigger the arrow or arrows as we need to use them. So that's why that second bool is in there and why I've set this up the way I have. Okay, so that's the first tiny little fragment of this setup. Let's just view frame all. Moving on from this, what we need to do now, we're going to zoom in on this part of the expression. I now need to set up 5 compares and 5 bools. Come down to compare, get my first one, copy it across. Again, I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the compares because we are going to label these. So I've got my 5 compares. What I now need to do is get my condition here and take the output into the first input of all of these. Oops, just get that there. And now I can set up 5 bools. And their functions will all be AND. And that's those set up there. What these are going to be are the activators for each of the arrows for the 5 snakes. We know that from this condition node here we can have a value passed which will range between 0 and 4. So depending on what value we get out of here, we're going to activate the different scenarios. So this is going to be our 2-way dead slither scenario at the top. I'm going to get a remark and we'll start labeling these up now. That's a result. We don't want one of those, we want a remark. Let's get a remark from there. Okay. So I'll just put that in there for a minute and then make it about that size. So in here we're going to say two-way dead slither, activate, two-way checksums. At this moment in time, of course, we don't have any two-way checksums, but we are going to. We'll be dealing with those a little bit later on. In fact, in our next tutorial. So I'll put that in there, just colour it up, make it lime green. So I've got my first one, I'll copy down. Next one will be three-way dead slither. Activate, three-way checksums. Four-way dead slither. Four-way checksums. Five-way slither. Or I should say really absolute slither to give it its proper name. Absolute slither checksums. And then finally our overall winner. Overall winner. Overall winner checksum. And that completes that. So I've got those set up and ready to play as they need to there. The next thing to do is connect input number 1 of the bool to the compares output, so we'll get those done. And then following on from here, what I'll do, I'll select all of the bools, move these up to somewhere near the first bool there. Let's get them about there. And then I can drag the output from our second bool that we just created here and place those in there. Go that way. Birthday. Oops, didn't get it. Go this way instead then. Okay, do the same. And those are all done. So I can now take them back down to where they need to be. So that gives us our bools set up in there. So everything is ready to go. Let's just do a quick little test run on this. If we just put this down here, you'll see what's going to happen when we get our end of race scenario. If we just move that out of the way so that we can actually see the result node down there. We just run the simulation. Let's see what happens when we get to the end of the race. And nothing happens at all. So why was that? Let's have a look, see what we've got. So at the end of the race, well, we've got an overall winner scenario. Have we got... we've certainly got enough frames because we've got our timeline set to 130. So let's see what else we might have got wrong. So we've got an overall winner, we've got a compare to one there. Have we got, let's just see what we've got at the output of that bool. Get another result node, have a quick look, see what's coming out of here. Have we got, yeah, we've got a 1 coming out of there. Okay, so that bit of it's working fine. It's something over here that's not quite right somewhere. So we've got that there. What have we got coming out of? Ah, of course. The one thing I didn't do was set up my compares. I missed that stage out. Helps if I do that. So for a two-way slither, if we go into our parameters, 0 is fine. That's the number that we want in there because the two-way dead slither is triggered by 0. We want a 1 in there, a 2 in that one, 3 for our absolute slither, and finally for our overall winner, when I change this I should get a 1 in the result node, so change that to 4, and I do. So that proves that it's working fine. So when there's an overall winner, this will be activated, and then the checks that need to be done by the actual arrows will follow on from here. That brings us essentially to the end of this tutorial here. It's another relatively short one, but it was worth showing you a bit of debugging there again, because I did make a mistake. I did forget to put the numbers in my compares. It's an easy one to make, but you could see how I systematically worked through there. I checked the bool first to make sure that I was definitely getting the correct output from there, which of course I did, and then I started to look at this side of things and realized that it was here that in these compares that the mistake had been made. And that's the thing, you just need to do this systematic sort of debugging whenever you do get a problem, because it is, as I said many times in these tutorials, it is very, very easy just to slip up here and there. But anyway, that just about completes this one. So we'll leave it for now, and then we'll start looking at animating arrows in the next tutorial.